Hello there. Let's just think. How has everything been? It's been alright. Do I even have my microphone in? No, it's always interesting. I always go quiet and nervous right when I start. So I think the best thing for me is just to let it all down, you know. So for the latest video, I'm gonna have it up hopefully by the end of Monday. The main reason is because I wanted to go and get my old computer shot, and you know I don't want to do anything stupid if the video doesn't get like many views or something. I honestly I don't know how many views it'll get, whether it'll get like 100 or 100,000, who knows. In other news, we got a new subscriber. Well, we got a couple of new subscribers actually, which is good. One of them's a woman. Yay! I've actually got a fucking female subscriber. I would have been able to. I had a joke about that played in my head like much better than I actually did, but I'm not really the kind of jokingly creepy kind of person. And I'm not actually very emotional on the outside. It's just on the inside is where my emotions are. So yeah, shout out to any female subscribers I have. I know I've got at least one now. And just know that I'm not gonna. Well, hopefully I'm not gonna make you feel uncomfortable. Certainly won't do it intentionally, that's for sure. I'm not really a romantic kind of person. I'll rabble on a little bit until it hits 12 o'clock. But yeah, basically what we're going to be doing today is just going to be ranking some bosses and all that, since my last ranking live stream got a fair amount of views afterwards, which I was kind of surprised at. So I'm going to just persist with the ranking stuff a little bit more. Persist with that a bit, see if it gets me anywhere. And yeah, I do want to make lots of other different types of content as well, more than just ranking stuff, because I think, in my opinion, it's kind of like, I don't know, I'm just not super into it. Like, I like it, but I'm not like, I don't want to make a channel that's revolved around it. Anyway, so we're going to be ranking some bosses, just some. I'll be honest, I'm not the type of gamer that just plays like shit tons of different games and all that sort of stuff. Like, I like playing one or two games obsessively for a little bit, and then I move on to the next one. Then the next one, then I come back, and then I move on and come back and all that sort of stuff. I like to play, like, I've got like 50 something games on my Steam. I think, 50 base games on Steam, and I've like played them for like hundreds of hours. That's just my kind of thing. So yeah, this is my Steam. Pretty sure someone friended me who may have known me from my YouTube. But yeah, that pseudo-Marxist thing, that was based on an argument I had on the internet once, a political argument. It was just like some basic thing on like some sort of mainstream incident, and the guy called me a pseudo-Marxist. So I'm like, you know what? Might as well make a group making fun of that. It was pretty funny. Yeah, I got 69 games. And yeah, Terraria's like 1,500 hours. Vic 2, Europa Universalis 4. Surprised how much I've done, but then again, I don't know. Anyway, enough about that. It's 12 o'clock now, so here's the difficulties. We're doing Terraria bosses first. There's going to be some mini bosses chucked in there as well, I think. Like that one. So, but I don't know one is potentially for the first one because Okram is a console exclusive one, and I never really played him much. But I will see about trying to make sure everything is not in the I don't know tier. So that's just for bosses I'm not super familiar with. F tier, F tier is for bosses that honestly, honestly you could like beat with your eyes closed, like your meat. E is for bosses that that have either got like one somewhat challenging phase or can be just slightly frustrating to defeat. D is kind of like that, but actually no, D is that one. E is like the boss is really easy, but not F tier easy. C is like just annoying and tedious. For example, the Headless Horseman I'm gonna have in that tier because he's just that. You got that much health and you want to defeat as many of them as possible. B is kind of hard, so it's like it's not easy, but it's not impossible. It's not super difficult. It's just kind of hard. A harder than job seeking. Well, job seeking for me because I live in a town that's pretty much renowned for its unemployment. Yet people still want to come here. So yeah, they're like really hard, but not S tier impossible. And yeah, S tier is like pretty much like I can't defeat it without either using the nurse or something like that. Like a shit ton of times. Like if you use the nurse just like once or twice, that's like fine. But it's like if you have to use the nurse like 10 times. So let's get started. Okram. Put him in the don't know tier for now. And the reason is as I explained, I'm on the I play Terraria pretty much exclusively on the PC, and Okram's like a console boss. And even when I was playing on the iPad, because that's when I first played Terraria, was on the iPad. Even when I was playing on the iPad, most of the time I was playing on it, pretty much all the time I was playing on it when I was actually invested in the game, was pre-hard mode. Like, hard mode wasn't added into the game yet. In fact, I remember I say friends loosely, but the guy who I was thinking of was a complete dickhead. He jailbroke his iPad, and yeah, if you don't know what jailbreaking is, then it's basically when you can get all sorts of different stuff on you. I don't know, it's hard to explain. It's like hacking in a way. Anyway, we're going off topic here. The point is, he would like hack in all the hard mode items, and he'd like slaughter us as a result. So yeah, for now I'm just gonna have Okram at don't know tier. Eater of Worlds. I think it's an F tier. Super easy. The reason is you don't even need to defeat him to be able to I don't know. Gender is like something is different. Anyway, let's just refer to these bosses as it, unless it's explicitly can be seen that they're a specific gender, like the Ice Queen, for example, or the Empress of Light. So yeah, the reason I have Eater of Worlds here is you don't even need to defeat the boss fully to be able to get what you need. So kind of similar for the Brain of Cthulhu as well, but basically what the Eater of Worlds drops, it drops Shadow Scales and Demonite Ore, and basically you like destroy little segments of it, and the little segments drop the scales and the ore, so you don't even have to defeat the boss. You could just like you could just like half defeat it, and you know, if it kills you, then that doesn't matter because you've already got some of the stuff in you. Then you can just do it again and again, and you can have the shadow armor, and that's pretty much it. Another reason it's pretty easy is it's easy to dodge the attacks unless you're in master mode or expert mode. That's one thing I just want to clear up quickly. This is classic mode only, based on where in the game you're at, like what phase of the game you're in. So yeah, and at that point, if you're melee, you should have the Blade of Grass or the Muramasa by the time you defeat the Eater of Worlds, by the time you're at Eater of Worlds. So Muramasa is understandable because, in my opinion, Skeletron's a bit harder than the Eater of Worlds. But yeah, overall, Eater of Worlds is really easy. Okay, the Destroyer. Let's move on now. The Destroyer, basically the hard mode version of the Eater of Worlds. Unlike the Eater of Worlds, I think the Destroyer is actually pretty hard. It's the hardest of the mechanical bosses. And the reason is it's got really like 70,000 health, which is insane for that period in time. Now, if you've got like a piercing weapon like the Superstar Shooter, then like the Destroyer is pretty easy. But the thing about the Superstar Shooter is even if you have it, you need to gather up a shit ton of stars, and that's something that's actually not that easy to do unless you've got the patience, which I kind of don't. So, like, at most I've had 200 stars, fallen stars in my inventory, and you can only get them at night. They, like, disappear at daytime. Now, what makes it also the Destroyer kind of difficult, it does a lot of damage as well, and it's, like, super difficult to dodge its body. And there's always times where you're going to get into a situation where it corners you. Like, it does a loop around you and you didn't intend that to happen. Like, and that can be annoying. I mean, it happens sometimes with the Eater of Worlds, but I still think the Eater of Worlds is really easy. And plus you can destroy some of the Eater's segments to get out. You can't do that with the Destroyer. And if that wasn't painful enough, you have to dodge the little sentries that come out of the Destroyer, and they like shoot lasers at you, along with the fact that the Destroyer's main body shoots lasers as well. I guess that kind of contributes to the reason that the Destroyer wasn't beaten by Barjo and Hex from Good Game Spawn Point. Mainly because they have to review other games as well, but the Destroyer is actually quite difficult in my opinion. Now, how do you make it easier? Well, you can use piercing weapons. Now, I recommend the Superstar Shooter. That, like, cuts through it like butter. Like a knife through butter. But if you don't have that, you could use the Magic Harp. That's one magic weapon. What else? I don't know, they're the only ones I really recommend. Or you could, like, any piercing weapons. I was going to say the Vilethorn, but that's, like, way too early game. It does, like, bugger all damage. Maybe the water tome thingy, the one that's, like, Ymir's favourite weapon. That's one I would consider. Next is the Moonlord, and he is the, I believe it's a he. I mean, it's a masculine design, I guess, because of the muscles and all that. But he has no crotch. Anyway, I think he is, S tier, really difficult. And the reason I say that, there's just so many different attacks, and that laser that spins around, it takes like half your health. No matter what, like even if you're like melee or whatever, melee's got like shit tons of defense. Now, it starts off with 3 True Eyes of Cthulhu, both of them, like 2 in the palms of his hands and one on like the at the head. The one on the head does the big laser attack. But once all the Eyes of Cthulhu are set free, and that's done by like taking their health away from them, that's kind of when it just gets harder and harder. Now, once you got all three of them, it opens up its heart, which you have to like take out really well, not really quickly, but it does make it a bit easier because you can just like run away. You can run fast away and it'll still follow you no matter what. But apart from that, it is really difficult. Like I always make sure to fight the boss near the nurse because like it takes my health away that much. And I'm not the super dodging kind of person in Terraria. My personal favorite class is going to be reflective of that, so you'd stay in tune for that video when that comes out. Anyway, that's the Moon Lord. The Flying Dutchman. The Flying Dutchman. I think it's a D tier. It can be kind of annoying, but not super annoying. And not super tedious either, depending on class. If you've got like a rainbow rod, then that can deal with it, but apart from that, it's not really that difficult. I'd say overall it's one of the most boring mini bosses because it barely drops anything. That's what I hate in a boss, is if sorry, I just noticed that Okram is on that list again, and plus oh no, my shoelaces are fine. Just noticed Okram's here again, so I put them both there. As I was saying, doesn't drop much. I hate it when bosses are like that, because it's like all that hard work is for nothing. The Empress of Light. Oh wait, one more thing about the Flying Dutchman. All you have to do is knock out the 4 cannons. That's all you have to do to defeat him. But they can be kind of annoying, so it's not super easy like the Eater of Worlds, but it's not difficult. Empress of Light. I still struggle to defeat her, so I'm gonna put her at S. All the attacks are quite difficult to dodge, especially the ones with the swords that seek you. It's really frustrating for me, and I almost never managed to defeat her. In fact, when I was playing Master Mode a while back, like this isn't the playthrough that I've been doing recently, but yeah, when I was playing the Master Mode playthrough, it was such a pain to try to defeat her. But yeah, this is classic mode. This is classic mode Empress. She is very difficult, but almost as difficult as the Moon Lord. Next, I think that's the dragon from the Old One's army. Well, I know I need Moon Lord equipment to defeat it. So, I think I'm going to put it in C tier. I don't think it's super difficult, because I don't often do the Old One's army, so yeah. But I did it for the achievement once. And the dragon was like, not super difficult. Brain of Cthulhu. Brain of Cthulhu. I'm gonna put Brain of Cthulhu at E tier. It's easy, but it's not as easy as the Eater of Worlds. Slightly more difficult, mainly because the brain teleports around the place, and it can be kind of difficult to predict it. And especially if the brain if you're in the Crimson, the main arena, it's like this big circular thing with these like tendrils that like tendril caves that go across the side, and the altars are right at the end of them. So there's like always a chance that you can get trapped by the brain, and that's kind of when it gets really frustrating. But apart from that, it's not difficult at all. It's not as easy as the Eater of Worlds. So it has a bunch of creepers, they call them. I don't know why they called them creepers, but they're not like the Minecraft ones. They're these red circular thingies. They're probably like representative of like blood clots or something, blood cells. I don't know. But yeah, once you've taken out all the creepers, it goes into this like aggro mode and it like teleports around more frequently and tries to directly attack you. It's actually not that difficult because it's only got like 1,000 life and you can knock it back. It does have knockback for some reason. Anyway, next boss. I don't know what that one is. I might just look up the. I might just have that open. Have that open there just in case. So I'm gonna put that in the I don't know tier for now. Nautilus. I think that's what it's called. The Nautilus. And it's something that you can fish out during the blood moon. I defeated it for the achievement for the angler. I think it was. Not to get the angler, but for an angler mission, and there's an achievement for it as well. Oh yeah, it's called the Dread Nautilus, I believe. Oh, the Turkey one. Turk or the Ungrateful. I remember that one from iOS. Slayer of Worlds. Anyway, enough of that. Dread Nautilus. I didn't get too much experience with it, but the experience that I did get with it was, I'd say around C tier. The Christmas tree one. It's like the Morning Wood in a way. I'd say it's not as hard as the Morning Wood because it has like it's just the Razor Pine attack and like the Christmas baubles, I think, as well that they throw. I'd say it's can be kind of a pain in the ass, but not that much. Can be kind of a pain in the ass. So I think I'm gonna put it at D tier. And my reason is it's mainly because more than one spawn at a time, but usually you can keep out of its range. And if you have like a ranged weapon or anything like that, or any weapon that goes a decent distance. Pretty much every late game melee weapon is like that though as well. Or pretty much every late game weapon. But if you have that, it's all good. I could use some water. Eye of Cthulhu. In my opinion, it's meant to be the first boss that you face, apart from King Slime. But the Eye of Cthulhu, I actually think... I'm just deciding whether it should be E or F tier. Because you really don't need much to defeat it, but it can be a little bit annoying if you don't have the mobility, which most of the time you don't. You know what? I think it's F tier. This one, I think it's the Shadow Flame Goblin. It's not really a boss, it's a mini boss. It's like when you're in the hard mode Goblin Army. Basically what she does is she like throws, like she flies around and like summons these attacks like Shadow Flame missiles or something like that. They can be annoying, but they're not super difficult. I think she's a D tier. Golem. Golem. The thing is, with Golem, he's always the boss that I like to farm the most. Like, farm for everything. And I almost never die. So that's how I get, like 2 platinum coins easiest, is by farming Golem. And I think by that judgment, it's an F tier. But it can be, but some of his attacks can be a pain to dodge. So I think I'm going to put him in the E tier. And the reason I farm him is mainly because of the Pixor. Like, I'd like to get the Pixor. It's pickaxe, axe. You know, it can only be obtained from Golem. So I can explain the attacks a bit more. He has like 2 fists that you have to defeat. They punch forward, but they're pretty easy to dodge, except towards the end. If you've defeated the head of the Golem, they can shoot pretty fast. The hardest attacks to dodge are the lasers. And sometimes the fireballs can be a bit of a pain as well. And that's the main reason I have him at E, not at F. But if it wasn't for those attacks, I'd have him at F, because F is pretty damn easy. The Headless Horseman. I mentioned this at the beginning, that he is prime example of a boss that is just tedious and annoying, but not easy or difficult, so I'm having him at C tier. Reason is he summons like this thing, it's like a horseman, a pumpkin head, and it just follows you around, and it can be a pain. And he does have a lot of health as well, and you want to be able to... The thing is, during the Pumpkin Moon and the Frost Moon, which is the Christmas counterpart, you want to be able to get through the levels as quickly as possible, because usually the resources you want can only be obtained from like the big bosses like Pumpkin or the Sand Tank one, or like the Ice Queen, those kind of things. Yeah, the Headless Horseman just is annoying. The Ice Golem. I don't know what kind of picture that is for it. I'm just thinking about it, because he's very slow, and it can be a pain in the ass to wait for him. That's something I'm willing to admit. It can be a real pain in the ass, especially if there's no like, if you have like a drought. By that I mean it's just like doesn't rain for some reason. For whatever reason, it just chooses not to rain. Just refuses. So that's one aspect, and he does shoot this laser at you that can freeze you, which is an absolute pain. I think based on when you're defeating him, which is usually early hard mode, the reason is you want to get the Frost Feather for the wings, the Frost Wings. They're the go-to wings for me, but if I can't get them, I get the Fairy Wings. But yeah, based on that, the laser, I'd say he's actually B tier. The Ice Queen. The Ice Queen. The Frost Moon equivalent of the Pumpkin. I'll be honest, I think the Frost Moon is slightly more developed than the Pumpkin Moon, in my opinion. Slightly more. But yeah, I think the Ice Queen is B tier. Not super difficult. King Slime. King Slime. I think King Slime is F tier. But not as easy as the Eye of Cthulhu. It can be slightly annoying trying to get close to him. And at that stage of the game you've either got really small melee weapons like the gold broadsword, or even worse, short sword. Ugh, disgusting weapons. Yeah, so, and it also can be a bit painful when he summons his minion slimes, but it is only really difficult. These bosses, the ones at like the bottom of the barrel, they only really get difficult if you're like in master mode or something like that. Even then, the Eater of Worlds is not too difficult. Eye of Cthulhu, it's like every boss in master mode, it comes down to the wire no matter what. I think that's designed to do that. But yeah, King Slime is easy, but not as easy as the Eye of Cthulhu or the Eater of Worlds. Still easy. The rabbit one, I've just got to check what its name is. Old Gen. Lepus. Diseaster bunnies. I think I've played him once or twice when I was on the phone. I think he's a D tier. Lunatic Cultist. He's meant to be like the opening event boss for like the lunar events. His main purpose isn't necessarily to be a super challenging boss. I think it's more just a test to see if you could do somewhat decently in the lunar events. That being said, his attacks are quite easy to dodge because they're predictable. If you see where he teleports, and he usually does like leave a trail, it's almost like he's not even teleporting, he's just running super fast, flying super fast. If you can see that, you'll notice. And then some of the magical summons he does, they take their time to reach you, like a second or two, which is more than enough time to dodge. The one thing that can be slightly difficult is when he does the summon with the multiple versions of himself thing. If you don't like destroy the real him, if you don't target the real him, it can summon this like dragon, and the attacks can get a bit stronger. But apart from that, I'd say Lunatic Cultist, I'd say is D tier. Actually, let me think. Yeah, I think D tier is probably a decent one. The Flying Saucer, Martian Saucer. I used to think it was quite hard. But then I started trying it again in the recent playthroughs, I did it mainly to get the Xenopopper and the summoning staff that summons the mini Martian saucers that shoot the lasers. I love that. I love that weapon. It's like one of my favorite summoning ones. But yeah, I'd say this Martian saucer is actually, if you're in the wrong place at the wrong time, it can be devastating when it does the shooting the lasers things. So that being said, I think it's E tier. And I'm going to say most of these aren't in specific order except for the F tier and A tier, S tier at the moment. But apart from that, they're not in order. Mothron. Now this is the one that drops the Broken Hero Sword during the solar eclipse. Is it even called the Mothron? Yeah, I think it is. And basically, it does the queen bee kind of attacks at first, like the queen bee dash attacks at first, but then after a while it just like sits down to lay an egg, and once it's done that, it goes back up, and then there are times where it will persistently follow you rather than just doing the dash. That can be annoying. But apart from that, I'd say Mothron is E tier. Definitely easier than the Saucer. Morning Wood. I actually think the Morning Wood is C tier. It's definitely more difficult than the Christmas tree, and that's because it's definitely more suited to the long range combat. Like it itself, it can take you out from a longer distance because it shoots these like flaming stick missile thingies, and they can like go as far as possible. But yeah, so I'd say it's pretty much on the same level as like the Headless Horseman. Just not as annoying or tedious, but not easy or hard. Celestial Pillar, I think that is. Nebula Pillar. Of the four, I'd say it's probably the second hardest of the four. I don't know. I know the hardest one is the range one because of the storm divers. They are an absolute pain in the ass. But yeah, the most painful one monster that spawns in the celestial, the nebula pillar, is the one that teleports, the floater. That one sucks. So I'd say a nebula pillar is kind of hard. Could it be harder than job seeking? I don't know. Nah, I'd say only the ranged one. The vortex pillar. That one's the. It's definitely the vortex pillars up here because of the storm divers. Fuck, they're annoying. I hate them. The ogre. It's very slow, but its clubbing attack can be quite devastating. This is what I remember anyway, so I'm having it at C tier. And it does have a lot of health. The pirate captain. I think the pirate captain's B tier is definitely more difficult than the goblin one, the goblin army one. And plus, he does shoot really fast, and they do a lot of damage at that stage of the game. Mind you, most of the time I either just don't get the pirate invasion at all, or I get it like right at the beginning of hard mode, and that's when it's like super difficult. So yeah, the pirate captain I have at B tier for that reason. Plantera. Plantera. It's got to be. It's got to be a simple decision. I want to check that I've got my mic working properly. So yeah, the Plantera, it shoots out a lot of well, like seeds and petals and stuff like that. The biggest challenge in regards to Plantera is probably also another reason why I'm going to have Queen Bee probably above Eye of Cthulhu, is because it's underground, and if you don't have piercing weapons or like weapons that go through the ground, if you don't have that, it's much more difficult. And I would say build an arena. That would help, but you really don't get to decide where to fight Plantera, because you have to find the buds, the Plantera bulbs, and they can be uncommon. They're not super rare or anything, but they're uncommon. It used to be like the truffle worm, but the truffle worm is a lot more common now than it was when Duke Vishon was first released. That being said, Plantera himself is not super difficult. I'd say D tier, but upper D tier. Pumpkin. I would say. I just don't think he's as difficult as Plantera, but he can be annoying. You know what? I think Plantera's C tier, and so is Pumpkin, but Pumpkin's less difficult than Plantera. Now the reason Pumpkin mostly just flies around and does those sickle things, so if you constantly fly around, it's all good. Queen Bee. Now, as I was explaining with Plantera, Queen Bee I think is slightly more difficult than the Eye of Cthulhu. The reason being is because you're underground, but the beehives, while sometimes they can be a bit difficult to find at that stage in the game, they do serve as a really useful arena building template. So if you put like 2-3 levels of platforms in there, you're all good. Especially against the dodging attacks. The dodging attack, like the not dodging, the ones you have to dodge, the swiping, I guess it's called, where she like flies from one side to the other really quickly. Now she will summon out bees after a while, but bees are usually pretty easy to defeat. So I think Queen Bee, yeah, she does give the venom effect quite a bit. So I think Queen Bee is probably E tier. Queen Slime, one of the newer bosses. And I'm not saying she's like the latest of the late bosses, but she is a newer boss when you like consider my journey with Terraria. I've been like playing this game for over a decade. almost a decade on the PC, and like she was only added a couple of years ago. I think she can be quite difficult actually. I'm not gonna lie, especially for that stage of the game. I think she's B tier. Or is she A tier? She could be A tier. It does get annoying when she's flying around. No, I think B tier is probably a good. No, I think I can't decide. I think she's upper B tier, lower A tier. Now the Sandstorm Elemental, that's what I think it's called. I'll have to check that. Is there a mini boss part? I just want to see mini bosses. Yeah. Because it is like a mini boss. I'd say the hardest part about the elementals is the tornadoes that she summons. But apart from that, it's not super difficult. I think it's D tier for this one. It's the tornadoes that make it more difficult than just, F or E. Sand Tank. Around about the same difficulty as the Morning Wood, I'd say. So, about C tier. Skeletron. You see, when I first played Terraria as a kid, and I saw GGSP, which was it still is a show on ABC Me. It was ABC 3 at the time. GGSP, when I saw Skeletron on GGSP, I was like, oh my god, this boss looks difficult. And initially when I first played Skeletron, it was difficult. I don't know what the gender is. You'd think, the first thing you'd think of was probably a male skeleton or something like that, because it's angry, that's like a masculine emotion or whatever. But no. After a while, Skeletron actually becomes kind of easier. You gotta have the mobility though, to dodge the hand attacks. So, my strat with Skeletron, I always get rid of the hands first. Get rid of the two hands. They don't have that much health. I'd say about 1,000, maybe 700 or 2,000 at most. I'll check. Skeletron. The hands each have 600. Yeah, so that's not that hard. If you've got like a flintlock pistol or a space gun or something, you can make mincemeat of those hands. And once you've done that, the head is pretty easy. The head can barely do anything. I'd say Skeletron E tier. Pretty easy. Not as easy as the eye though. Or the brain of Cthulhu. Skeletron Prime, on the other hand. Skeletron Prime. I think out of the 3 mech bosses, he's definitely the middle one. He's the one that, I think, if you're a mage class, he's pretty easy once you get the Rainbow Rod. Though you'd want more than just the Rainbow Rod. But yeah, I'd say, if you're a ranger, he can be difficult. Unless you've got the Clockwork Assault Rifle. Or like a half-decent hard mode gun. Though the shotgun only really works really well at close range. It's not a long-range weapon, the shotgun. As is in real life. So I'd say Skeletron is Skeletron Prime. I'd say Skeletron Prime is B tier. In my opinion, B tier. Just based on what stage of the game you're at that point. It's an early hard mode boss. At that point, it's like, yeah. I'd say the melee pillar. We'll check what the name of it is. I believe Solar Pillar. God, I've played this game for 1,500 hours and I still don't know the names of all the pillars. That's like me in life in general. I don't know what the words nouns, verbs, adjectives, I don't know what all of that means. I never really bothered. It's not like I use it that often in real life anyway. So yeah, the Nebula Pillar, D tier, pretty easy. Except if you're flying, the flying worm can get you, and you have to defeat it from the back. There's like a little light bulb at the back of it, and that kind of got me all tripped up a bit. Stardust Pillar here. Oh, actually no. Just kind of tedious. But yeah, you can see I obviously have a easiest to hardest thing here. So yeah, the range one is the hardest because of those fucking storm divers. They're a pain in the ass. I gotta take my time with this a little bit. I want this stream to be at least an hour. I do have a couple more bosses, but it's not gonna be anything like super spectacular like Dark Souls or whatever. I think I will buy Dark Souls actually. I'm gonna buy a bunch of games now because they're on sale, the summer sale. I'm gonna get Red Dead, might get Kingdom Come Deliverance, and I think I'll get the Dark Souls games. I don't know, because I've heard Dark Souls is really hard, but I don't know for certain. I'd have to see. The twins. You know, of all the mechanical bosses, I think the twins are the easiest, obviously. I'm trying to think of a justification to keep them out of the E tier. Only thing is, I'd say that could make them hard is if you don't have a good ranged weapon. Like, the Clockwork Assault Rifle can make mincemeat out of the twins, I think. And usually if I don't get the Clockwork Assault Rifle, I just take them out with the Cursed Flame or the Crystal Storm. So, I don't know. I think the twins are E tier. They're pretty easy. Turkor the Ungrateful. I don't know. Wall of Flesh. The thing that's most annoying about the Wall of Flesh is the fact that you pretty much have to build an arena. You don't 100% have to, but if you get blocked by a building in the underworld, you're fucked, basically. If you get blocked by a building, you are screwed. So that's the most annoying part. That means it's tedious. The preparation is tedious. The boss itself isn't tedious. Now, the hardest part about it is dodging the laser attacks. Especially towards the end, because it gets faster and faster and faster. But apart from that, not a very hard boss. So I think he is E tier. E tier. Is E tier really right for the Wall of Flesh? D tier. Nah, E tier, because if you keep your distance away and you use like the water the water tome or whatever, it can be really quite easy. And as long as you've got the arena. And now, finally, we have Duke Fishron. I'd say Duke Fishron is a very fast boss, so I would recommend getting the Master Ninja gear. Like, that is something I recommend for the Duke Fishron fight, because his attacks are very fast. The tornadoes can be easy to dodge. The flare-nados, I think they're called. The sharks, they can be a bit of a pain. I'd say Duke Fishron is upper B tier. Upper B tier. Actually, no, I think A tier. It's interesting to see how much of a veteran I am when Skeletron is at E tier. I think I will save the image. Download image. So overall, I'd say a lot of the bosses, especially the ones down at the bottom in E tier, such as Golem and the Brain of Cthulhu, and the Twins and the Wall of Flesh, Skeletron, most of those bosses I'd say I find easier personally, just because I've had to experience them more. I've had more experience with them. I basically know everything. So if you're a new Terraria player, I'd say most of these bosses are pretty hard. With the exception of the Eater of Worlds and the Eye of Cthulhu. Well, exception for the F tier ones. Like, they're the ones that are really easy. And that's pretty much it for the Terraria. Now, I'm going to go on intermission for a little bit. Just a 5-minute break. Yes, you love your scratches. Or not scratches, your cats. That was a nice 2-minute break. Anyway, now that we've done the Terraria bosses, our next set of games, or our next set of bosses, is from the famous 2017 video game, Cuphead. Now, I'll be honest. I'm one of the, I don't know if it's a minority of people, but I'm one of the minority of people who actually really think this game is easy. And I mean like really easy. Let's check how much. Cup. Yeah, I've only played it for 150 hours and I've got all the achievements. It's like, come on. Cuphead's not that hard. It's fucking easy. Anyway. Just having a closer look. I think these are specific phases. Specific phases. I just gotta think about it a bit. Now I would say the things I said about the Terraria boss is like it's only based on that part of the game, or whether it's expert mode or like it's only classic regular difficulty. But that really doesn't apply because expert mode doesn't really make much of a difference in this game. And it really doesn't matter what stage of the game you're at, you're always going to be able to beat every boss with just the roundabout and the spread shot. With the exception of maybe Captain Brinybeard or Rumour Honeybottoms. Oh, and the airplane bosses. But the airplane bosses, you don't really have any weapon variety, you just have the darts and the bombs, that's pretty much it. So, let's get on with this. First one is looks like a dragonfly, it's from the Treetop Troubles. And I would say it's easier than sitting down, but there is one little finicky thing. You're on like 5 platforms and that can get a little bit scary when you're running out. And plus, once you've actually defeated it, you have to wait like a couple of seconds before you're able to go there, so I'd say it's in the pretty easy tier. The snail. Now this is from the DLC, the Moonshine Mob, which I think is one of my favourites. Like, music-wise. Oh, and I like the design of the, oh, where is it? Where is she? Yeah, her. I like the design of the light fly. Like, she is adorable. But yeah, the snail is like the final phase. It's the little surprise, the fake knockout, if you will. Apart from that, super easy. Captain Brinybeard. I don't know if that's like the first phase. We'll get the whale up here as well. We could try to sort them out based on bosses, I don't know. In that case, we should do all the Moonshine Mob phases. In that case. The light bug. Easier than sitting down. Why? Well, you could just hang out at the middle row. You could just hang out at the middle row with Miss Chalice and do the dodge, roll dodge. Right when she has the music thingy that happens. It's like, come on, you think the devs would have like fixed that by now or something like that? Patched that. The spider, I'd say pretty easy, but because the flies and the little spider bomb things can be kind of annoying. But apart from that, they're mostly easy to dodge, but they're not like easier than sitting down. They're just slightly easier than that. Now I'd say the anteater. The anteater phase is the hardest of them all, but they're still pretty easy. So I'd say easy, pretty easy. Okay. So do we get to choose which Captain Brinybeard phase is? You know what, I think I'm gonna go with the Goopy Legrand. The first phase of Goopy Legrand, easier than sitting down. All it is just him jumping, you know, because he's a slime. Goopy Legrand apparently means the grand slime in French. And yeah, he's pretty easy. And whenever he does his little punch attack, or no, his blowing attack, the punch attacks for the bigger one, it's just like, all you have to do is duck. And that's the same thing with like all those attacks for the first two phases of Goopy. So yeah, this one's slightly harder than that one, slightly, and I mean very slightly. Like this boss is like, everyone complains about it for being easy, and I'm gonna join that bandwagon. It is way too easy, but it is still fun to be able to defeat him in like under a minute. That is kind of fun. The gravestone. Easier than sitting down. Easier than sitting down. Now the next box we usually go to is the root pack. So we've got the carrot, the onion. I think Olibulb is the second phase. And then the potato. Yeah, they're easy. They're really easy. In fact, when you're with Chalice, and you've built up all your attack, all your cards, the 5 cards, and you do it right at Olibulb, you can pretty much beat him before he starts crying. Which is like, that is sad. The potato, it's just blowing little dirt patches and some worms at you, and all you have to do is jump. It's easy. So I'd say like that. It's not in a... it feels like it is in a particular order now. I'd say for the boss itself, it's in particular order. But if you're comparing it to the other bosses, then it's not. The next one I usually go for... Ruby and Croaks, which is the obviously it's a frog. Where's the slot machine one? There's the slot machine. I like the Ruby and Croaks boss battle. It's still really easy though. Yeah, easier than sitting down, I think. So is the second one. The second one's pretty easy. Like, the fan really doesn't do anything. The slot machine. I actually think the slot machine's in pretty easy tier. It's a bit harder because, like, the tiger can be a pain in the ass to dodge. But this is coming from someone who always wants to do it perfect. I'm like a perfectionist in Cuphead. That's one way I'm willing to admit that I'm a perfectionist at. And... Just gotta think a bit. Just gotta think a little bit. The next one I usually go for is Hildeberg. I usually do Hildeberg before the flower. The flower's always the one I do last. But there's the moon phase of Hildeberg. Moon phase of Hildeberg. And I actually think the moon phase is slightly frustrating. Actually, no, I've gotten used to the alien ships. I know how they work, so I'd say she's pretty easy. This is from my point of view, by the way. I've only played it 149 hours, but apparently that's enough to master it, I guess. So yeah, the moon phase is pretty easy. Where is the regular? There's the regular Hildeberg. She's pretty easy. Not like easier than sitting down or anything. The laugh attack can come unexpectedly, but I've mostly gotten used to that. The Zeus one. Or is that Zeus? I don't know. I don't know what the romanticist one is. The romanticist guy. The bull is harder than that. It's like up there with the moon phase. Not hard at all though, but it can still be kind of unpredictable. And plus, if you're only playing Hildeberg on expert mode, it can sometimes surprise you a bit. when you like go back to the regular mode. This one I think is harder than the board though, because it's like harder to dodge the stars. Now when I say it's harder, I'm not saying it's hard, I'm just saying it's harder than this phase. Oh, that one. I think that one... I actually think that one is the hardest of the bunch. Because you can't predict when the bullet storm starts. And that's like the one thing that fucks you over in S ranking, when in trying to S rank her. Now, I don't know if that's the last of the Hildeberg bunch. But yeah, we're going to Cagney Carnation now, I think. That's the second phase of Cagney. Second phase of Cagney, where's the first? That's the first, I believe. Now, the first one is pretty easy. I actually think Cagney's a pretty easy boss. So we just got to think a little bit. The two main attacks are actually there's 4. It's first it's like launching the bulbs, you know, up into the air, and then they come down. Then there's the big flower head attack, and then I think the friends are home. The friends are home. Big flower attack. And there's the one where it has the whirly thing and then the seeds that track where you were. But yeah, apart from that, I'd say Cagney's pretty easy. Cagney Carnation. Yeah, they have each of the phases for some reason. Beppy, the clown. That one's the final phase. Now, is there the horse? Yes, there's the horse. The horse. Beppy's first phase, easier than sitting down. Beppy's second phase, easier than sitting down. It is easy, you got to admit. It is pretty darn easy. Beppy's third phase, the horse. I'd say pretty easy. Slightly harder than the first 2 phases. And then the final phase, easier than sitting down. And I say that because it's like, all it is this carousel. You have to stay on the seats when the train, the roller coaster comes. And then once it's stopped, he vomits out penguins, but you can like kill the penguins, so it's like, all you do is just that, and then they pretty much don't do anything. You only need to kill 1 or 2 penguins to pretty much nullify the threat that they pose. What's the next one? Jimmy the Great is usually the one I do next. Sometimes I forget to get the bombs. That one's the second phase. The Jimmy, the Great, I think he's one of my... I actually think Jimmy's my favourite boss of the bunch. There's the Cuppet. And that's the final phase. The first phase of Jimmy the Great. The first phase of Jimmy the Great, he can choose from 3 different attacks. There's the cats, which personally I don't think is that hard. It's not the worst of them. I think the jewels are the worst though, and the swords are the easiest ones. So I'll say slightly frustrating at times, but this one's easier than sitting down. Like, this one is easy. This one's just the coffin one, and it spits out his eyeballs. That one's finicky, but not super difficult, so I'd say it's harder than the Hildeberg, that's for sure. Cuppet's also pretty easy. Yeah, I'd say these 3 are pretty easy. Overall, he's not a super difficult boss, but his first phase, if you get the jewels, is really annoying. That's why I have it as slightly frustrating. But every other one is like pretty easy because these three, you know what you're getting. Whereas with this one, it's like he chooses randomly. Who's next? I think it's Baroness von Bonbon. The Baroness. The Baroness. Where is she? There's the Gumball. Oh no, the Gobstopper, the Gumball. Mufsky Chernikov, who I hate. That one. Oh, there's Baroness von Bonbon, the final phase. I'm sure there's another one. Oh yeah, there's the candy corn. I think that's a candy corn anyway. Think that's a candy corn. Anyway, Gumball. No, Gobstopper's easier than sitting down. Like, all he does is try to follow you. It's easy. The Gumball machine. Rarely do I ever get beaten by the Gumball machine, so I'd say easier than sitting down. You just gotta watch the balls that he spits out. Same with that. You've seen me play this game. Well, you probably haven't, because you're probably a new viewer. But if you watch my first live stream, the beating Cuphead bosses live, you just see how easy it is for me to just tear through these bosses. Mufsky's the hardest. I say he's slightly frustrating at times. And this one is easier than sitting down. The Baroness's final phase. Pretty easy. Pretty easy in my opinion. But the head following you can be a bit of a pain in the neck. I will admit that. Who do we do next? You know what? We're gonna do Wally. He's one of the bosses that I absolutely hate. Where's the bullet hell phase? That one's the final phase. The final phase I find is actually the hardest of the bunch. Where is... See, I'm starting to get tired. Where the fuck? Well, if I find the bullet hell phase, or feather hell, if I find that phase, then I will add it in later. But obviously my brain is just too stupid to realise. First phase of Wally Wobbles. This is one of them ones that expert mode actually does make a difference on. So I'll say slightly frustrating at times. Oh, and we're going to add the bullet hell in one as well, so it's slightly frustrating at times. Willy Warbles is pretty easy. And I'd say the final phase is the hardest of the bunch. So we've done Beppy, Jimmy, Baroness. It's only the dragons left on Inkwell Isle 2, which is really sad. That's how short this game is. Add more bosses. No, here's the thing though, animating like that is incredibly difficult. Because it's like a frame by frame thing, rather than with After Effects you just key it, you just add a key, but you don't add a key for each frame. Whereas with this, it's like drawing a new frame. Grim Matchstick. Grim Matchstick. See, I'm kind of getting a bit into the confused territory because it's like I'm judging this based on like trying to S rank, also just trying to defeat it. It's like I don't know which one's which sometimes. And that's why I put some of the like Wally Wobbles a bit harder because like it's a pain in the ass to try to S rank, but you can like get through it easy. We'll just say just try to defeat the boss. And I'd say Grim Matchstick, pretty easy. That one's pretty easy. This one, I'd say slightly frustrating at times. Yes, I believe the next one is Rumour Honeybottoms. That's the final phase of Rumour, by the way. That's the second phase. Where's the first? Oh, the first one's the pig. Did I say pig? I meant to say Police Officer B. I'd say the Police Officer B, easier than sitting down. Like, it's really easy. Hardest part about it is the bomb, but you can easily avoid that. The next phase, this one, I'd say it's pretty easy. Though, the balls that follow you, the big ball that follows you can be a bit of a pain, but all you do is parry it. It's not that hard, this game. Well, for me, it's not. If you find it hard, then like that's fair enough. I understand you've got like a life, you know. But I'm a gamer. I don't have a life. The final phase. Usually, I used to just do it with the lobber, like this phase. This phase is like easy with the lobber. But yeah, I did this with the lobber usually, but now I do it with the crack shot. And I'd say it's pretty easy. Like, all it does is the saw, which you know which side she's coming from, always, and then you get the fists that come out of the propellers, well, not the propellers, the two, like, jet things on the side. Well, they might not even be jet things, they're like, I don't know what they are, they're probably like cannons or something. Cannons. Okay, let's think. Rumour, that was the first one. The second one I usually go for after Rumour is Werner Werman. If you don't know, he's a rat and he's German. He's a rat and he's German. Where's his first phase? That's his first phase. Where's the Katzenwagen? There it is. Now, Werner Werman, he is honestly definitely my favourite of the Isle 3. Like, aesthetics wise, because I am an absolute history buff, and this was, if anyone's wondering which war he's portraying, it's the first one, obviously. Because this game is meant to be set in 1930, and that was before certain German mustache man seized power. That was like 3 years before he seized power. So it was like way before the war started, the second one started. But yeah, he's basically a representation of the World War I German soldier, also because of the spike on the helmet. First phase Werner. Pretty easy, especially the dash attack you have to do. If you have the dash parry, then he's like easy as fuck. Easy as fuck to dodge that part. But yeah, I'd say he's pretty easy. The second phase, in my opinion, is the hardest of the bunch. Slightly frustrating at times. Might just change this one. Instead of hard as cement, hard as wet cement. Because like hard as cement is like almost impossible. So I'd say just want to change up a few of my votes. This one can be a pain because if you use the roundabout, and this one as well. They're the only ones I'm really changing. The cats and wagon, easier than sitting down. Really fucking easy. You know what? We're going to do Captain Briny Beard. First phase. Slightly frustrating at times as it gets on and it becomes more chaotic. It can get a little bit... Actually, no. I'd say it's pretty easy. The whale is also pretty easy. But easier than the first phase. Who's next? I'm going to go with Dr. Carl's robot. Oh, there's a couple of run and gun ones as well. I'm just going to do the main bosses first. Then we'll do the chess pieces. Then we will do the run and guns and all the mini bosses and whatnot. So, Dr. Carl's robot. That's the first phase. Final phase is like him sitting in it. So, if you see a crazy looking professor, there he is. First phase of Dr. Carl's robot. I think Dr. Carl's robot is one of the few bosses that's actually quite difficult. So it's a hard as wet cement. Not impossible though. I'm sure if this was like Dean Takahashi doing this, he'd probably have them all at fucking impossible. This one is slightly frustrating at times. Ooh, farted. Neil, did you fart? I don't think so, Rick. Well, there's a horrible farty smell in here, and it's certainly not from my bottom. Sorry, I had to do a Young Ones reference. That's gonna be my new, like Friendly Geordies has The Simpsons. I'm gonna have the Young Ones. Because, like, that was one of my favourite old comedies that my father showed me. And I still really like it. It's like, it's really funny, even after all these decades. And it takes a lot of, humour to be able to do that, especially if you've watched it religiously, like I have. In fact, I started watching the scenes again, and there's this one where it's like the devil Futumsh's neighbours, and the Guardian like had spelling errors. If you don't know what the Guardian is, it's like a newspaper, and then Rick is like, he says like Futumsh by accident, and then Rick and Neil say Futumsh is like they say it collectively 3 times, and then they like summon the devil. And it's like, imagine summoning a demon. Imagine summoning a demon as a result of a typo from a newspaper. Anyway, enough about that. What about the final phase? I'm going to put it in the same phase as this one because it's just annoying. It's not overly difficult, it's just really annoying and tedious. I hate that final phase. Like, it is that fucking dreadful. And not even difficult, it's just creatively inept. Like, I expect more from Cuphead, you know? Considering all the other bosses, how... Like, you have 2 frogs that transform into a slot machine, for God's sake. And you have a blimp that transforms into a moon. Yet you can't do anything with Dr. Carl's robot. Like, come on. Okay. Who's next? Who is next? I believe it's Cala Maria. Yeah, that's Cala's first phase, that's the second one. Yes, I'm gonna be judging your waifu. Okay, so the first phase of Calamaria. Yeah, there was a part of me that was gonna bias to go in and say every boss was like easier than sitting down. But then the thing is, I'm kind of over exaggerating when I say Cuphead is super easy. It's just like average. It's not difficult. It's not like the easiest game in all of existence, but it's not hard. That's the thing. And the IL3 bosses can be a bit frustrating. A bit. But that's only from my perspective of trying to get a perfect rank. So I'd say Calamaria's first phase, I'd say, is slightly frustrating at times. Her second phase is just really annoying because of the Medusa effect. So I'd say she's there. And the third phase, not as difficult. Not as difficult. Okay. So now we've got Sally's stage play. I know which phase is which. I know which phase is which. That one's the third phase once she's gotten killed. Well, kind of killed. In the play, killed. I think that's all the Sally stage play ones. There is an alternate one where you, like, in the play where you kill the husband. But it doesn't seem to be there. Okay, Sally stage play. First phase, easy. Second phase, slightly frustrating. Third phase, easier than sitting down. Fourth phase, pretty easy. And that's mainly my justification for this. The first phase is like super easy. Like, she mostly just stands there. Sometimes she'll jump up and like hurl towards you with the umbrella, but apart from that, it's easy to dodge that as well. The second phase, in my opinion, is the hardest of Sally's stage play. And she's really not that hard. Sally's stage play is easy. The only thing hard about S-ranking her is trying to get the parries. Because, like, she's not always guaranteed to give a parry, and she only gives them at, like, 2 of the phases. Unless you go the killing the husband route. Then the nuns sometimes throw them in some pink thingies. Like, they look like crosses. I think they might be crosses. Okay. Now it's time for the Phantom Express. If I've missed any, then that's my bad. Where's the Skull Conductor? There he is. Okay. First phase, easier than sitting down, because if you've got the Converge, it's like so easy. Melts through the eyeball attacks like butter. Skeleton one, pretty easy. These two, the lollipop thingamajigs. I'm just thinking about it. Pretty easy. And the locomotive, I'd say the locomotive's the hardest phase. It's not that hard though. It can be frustrating, especially with the bone that comes out of it. And then it just goes straight towards you. But yeah, apart from that it's pretty easy. And I believe that is the final one of Inkwell Isle 3. So now we've got the King Dice. The King Dice. He's the final one. So we'll do all the King Dice mini bosses now. Which one is it? This one, the Tipsy Troop. The Tipsy Trope or Troop or whatever. Easier than sitting down. Like, it is really easy. once you like know all the attacks, which it takes like only a couple of turns. Chips Bettigan. Pretty easy. A little bit harder than Tipsy Troop. Apart from that, not very hard. Pirouette, I'm not going to do it in order anymore. I'm not going to do the King Dice mini bosses in order. Pirouette is easy, though I always get hit once just because I'm stupid. I absolutely hate Mr. Chimes. He is a pain. Not super hard though, or anything. Oh, there's the cigar. The cigar, I'll put in pretty easy. Bit harder than Chips Bettigan though. Little bit harder than Chips Bettigan. Fear Lap. Easier than Chips Bettigan. Or actually no. Easier than these two, but still easier than sitting down. The rabbit. Pretty easy. Harder than these two, but easy. Mangosteen. Mangosteen's just that easy. So easy. I should have put my water bottle in here. I'm starting to get thirsty. I think after... Oh no, wait until my friends get back, and then I'll probably be ending the live stream after that. Well, I'll end the live stream after the Crash Bandicoot bosses, I think, because I played the Insane Trilogy a while back and I want to do them. Okay, let's think. Unless that's all the King Dice mini bosses. No, there's gotta be the domino one. Yeah, the domino one here. That one is pretty easy. Oh, I think they're back. Good. See if there's any more of the mini bosses. I think that's all of them. I think there's 9 of them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah, there's 9 of them. King Dice himself is fucking easy. This is parry practice, that's all he is. And now we have the big bad final boss. The devil. The devil. Oh, hang on. Yeah, that's the first phase of the devil. First phase, second phase. Or first phase, yeah, final phase. First phase, I'd say, is the hardest part about it. First phase is the hardest, but once you get past the first phase, it's like pretty easy, I'd say. I'd actually say easier than sitting down, the second part. And I think that's all the Cuphead main bosses from the base game. So we'll do the DLC bosses, then we'll do all the mini things, the mini bosses, so the run and guns and all that, and the chess pieces. So who's the first boss that you usually play in the Delicious Last Course? Oh, I already did the Moonshine Mob. So I think after that, usually the next one I go for is Esther Winchester. Esther Winchester. It's like one of my favorites. Definitely a really well done boss, in my opinion. No pun intended. First phase, slightly frustrating at times. second phase is the same. Third phase, pretty easy. Fourth phase is pretty easy too. Fourth phase is like epic parry material. Give me a quick moment. Yeah. Yep. Yeah, turns out I was too late. Anyway, it doesn't matter. The next one, I usually do Glumstone Giant last, so we'll do the flying doggos. The flying doggos. Where's the puppies? Which one's the hardest phase? I'd say that the final phase is the hardest of the doggos. But this first one, pretty easy. Second one, easier than sitting down. And then this one I'd say is hard, no, not hard as wet cement. Mortimer Freeze. Now I'd say the hardest part about Mortimer Freeze is trying to S rank him. But apart from that, it's all good. It's pretty easy. First phase. I'd say the bosses are only really difficult if you're unfamiliar with them. No, that's the first phase of Glumstone. Go with that. Okay. First phase, pretty easy. Second phase, pretty easy. Third phase is a bit frustrating. That third one's the hardest. Especially in the expert mode when it does the eye thing that pops out and does the laser. The laser is like really hard to dodge. Glumstone, first phase, pretty easy. The gnomes are the difference between it being pretty easy and easier than sitting down. Second phase can be slightly frustrating. The ball thing can be annoying, and the gnomes. Apart from that, it's not too difficult. Around the third phase, I'd say it's the easiest phase. And I believe we've only got but one boss left. And that is Le Chef. The Chef Salty Chef Baker. First phase, I'd say it's the hardest phase in the entirety of Cuphead. Just all the things that are flying around and the randomness of it all. So that's the only one that's like, even then, once you get familiar with it, it's not too difficult. But I'd say I'm putting it up there because it's the hardest of the game. The second phase I'm going to put in here. Because it's just the flame with legs, that's the hardest part about it. Especially if you're trying to S rank him, because you have like two of those flame things and it's really annoying. Third phase is easier than sitting down. Oh man, there's always one, isn't there? There's always that one phase that's just like, why did they even bother with it? And then the final phase. Final phase, I'd say, pretty easy. You don't need to parry the heart. You just have to have a tracking weapon and that's pretty much it. So now what I'm going to do the chess pieces. Knight, bishop, rook, queen. They don't have the king because the king is the one that introduces you to the games. And he's the one that's apparently in control and doesn't do anything. So the first one is the pawns. Pretty easy, though towards the end it can get a bit frustrating. A little bit frustrating. That's why I don't have it in easier than sitting down. Now the knight is the hardest one in my opinion. So I'm going to put him at slightly frustrating at times. The bishop is actually my favorite of the bunch. Because like it's the blowing out the candles thing. I like that. That being said, the bishop's still pretty easy. I'm just thinking, I'm wondering if the bishop and the pawn should be in the easiest tier. I wonder. No. Rook's pretty easy as well. Now, I absolutely suck at aiming the cannon. So, that being said, I think the queen is in slightly frustrating at times. I might actually put the knight in hard as wet cement. I don't know. It's just really finicky. And you need Chalice to be able to do it. If you try with the regular cup, it's just a pain. There's like a whole nother level of pain. The nightmare. I'd say slightly frustrating because when you first do it, you don't know what like which one's which and what is everything, but trust me, you have to only touch the devil. You only have to aim for the devil. You don't need to aim for the angel, and they interchange based on which way you're facing. Spoiler alert. But yeah, apart from that, that's pretty easy for a mini boss. Well, not pretty easy. It's finicky. That's what it is. This one, it's not even this that you have to avoid. It's just the parkour. Parkour is like pretty easy. This tiger, easier than sitting down. This, easier than sitting down. Hot dog, easier than, no, pretty easy. Lobster is pretty easy. The wall, pretty easy. And this one's easier than this. And that's my Cuphead tier list. That's my Cuphead tier list. You know what I thought? I think we might, to end this off, I don't think I'm going to bother with the Crash Bandicoot one, but to end this off, I think I'm going to look at some other rankings, some other community rankings, give my own personal opinions on them. We'll start a bit with the Terraria one. Community rank. And I think these are all like, I think these aren't based on difficulty. These are like just overall objectively the bosses that they like. The one that kind of stands out to me a bit, Plantera. I don't see Plantera as being like too special in my opinion. Especially not the twins as well. Like these three I'd take out personally. Oh, terrible, yeah, I can agree. I can definitely agree with the terrible on these ones. Oh, no, the bottom of the barrel bad ones. Terrible. I liked the pirate captain just because of the whole novelty of the pirates thing. Neutral. I would have thought these four would have been a bit further up, and I definitely disagree with these two being in the B tier, in my opinion. Like, Eater of Worlds is just, like, easy and kind of boring. Martian Saucer, where's the Saucer? In pretty good tier. Golem I'd have in the not that great tier just because he's so easy to farm. Terraria boss. Okay. I think this is a difficulty one. This is boss. Eye of Cthulhu and Golem. Yeah, I will agree that Golem is pretty easy. But he's not like super easy like Eater of Worlds easy. Super easy. No, I actually think the Pumpkin Moon and the Frost Moon ones are a bit finicky in my opinion. The King Slime I think is easier than the Eye of Cthulhu. Well, actually, is it? It's around about the same. It's in the easiness level of the Eye of Cthulhu. It's certainly not like harder, like a whole nother tier harder. Twins I'd have in the easy tier. Using more brain to fight. Oh, it annoys me, but it's not hard. That would be the Headless Horseman for me as well. I don't know where the Headless Horseman is here. Must have omitted it. Unless I'm just stupid and not observant. Twins normal. Queen Slime. Yeah, Queen Slime is definitely a lot more difficult than King Slime. Skeletron's not that difficult though. Destroyer is more difficult than Skeletron Prime in my opinion. And Plantera is more difficult as well. I don't know. But yeah, I definitely think the Destroyer is more difficult than Skeletron Prime. And I would think that the Lunatic Cultist is not that difficult. Anyway, I'm getting tired. I need to go home. That's 2 hours of live streaming almost. It gets to you. I definitely prefer being just a video content creator. And hopefully I'll have that video out by Monday. So yeah, if you like my content, I do really appreciate the subscribers and the likes and all that. I'm doing this not only because I need the money, but also because I really do like it. It's like a passion of mine to make videos. Now I'd say a fair amount of people say my quality is good, like really good. But like I think there's still a little bit of way to go in my opinion in regards to quality. I think the biggest thing for me it's going to be improving the timing of it. The timing, making it feel a bit more like a doco in some parts where I'm like introducing. Like there's a part of my latest video where it's like introducing it to like Florida, and I would have liked to have had it a bit longer. It's just because of like the Parkland thing, the Parkland massacre that happened. I'm going to be talking a bit about how school shootings have like affected the way that like video games are perceived and all that sort of stuff. Anyway, if you enjoy, please subscribe, like, share, comment if you want. Like I think that'll be one of my long-term live streams, is reading all the Valheim comments, because there's like 430 of them. Which I can't believe. But anyway, I hope you have a lovely day, and